bones away hence with you. I want to say this to you like this. This was a picture of the second coming. The Lord was not going to leave them bones in Egypt. He was going to come and get them and take them away. I want to say to us today that the Lord is coming back. He's not going to leave us here. He's coming to get us. He points to our past, our prince, our promise, and our prophecy. I want you to underline one thing, and this is the burden I leave with you. In verse 18, I've already asked you to underline the word harnessed. But in verse 19, and this is my burden, and I'll be done in just a moment, and God will surely visit you. God will surely visit you. I'm thinking about the responsibility that comes with a visitation. God will surely visit you. I want to say something, see if you'll respond to me. The Lord has granted us a divine visitation. Now, let me get more specific. This weekend, the Lord has come by here and visited with us. Let me go a little further. This past decade, the Lord has granted a divine visitation upon a generation. Didn't have these kind of meetings when I was a kid. I'll be 50 my next birthday. You know where I went? Just occasionally to a preacher's meeting with the old men. This was not happening. I've thought on that a lot. You know why it wasn't happening? Didn't need to happen. We had strong homes and we had strong churches. I had everything I needed. Y'all ain't helping me. Brother Doug, maybe they don't understand. We didn't have this because we didn't need this like this. We had strong daddies and strong pastors and strong churches. Amen. You had Brother Edgar and then Brother Willard. There's a visitation that God is granting this generation. I never sat in a meeting with, 2,000. I don't know if it's less or more, Brother Stroud. We don't talk about numbers because we don't really care about numbers. Y'all ain't helping me. Never sat in this. Never needed this. You're living in the last hours when all of hell is breaking loose. They heated that, and I'm nearly done. They heated that furnace 7 times hotter. That's the book of Daniel. Matthew 12, that generation that rejected Jesus, 7 times more devils came in. It's 7 times worse. But I've been an eyewitness. In the last 10 years, God has breathed across this. I don't know how to say. God hath breathed across His church and granted a visitation. I've been watching it. I never seen this stuff till it started happening. There was a great harvest in the 60s. God saved a whole harvest in America in the 60s, and they went to do and be great things for God. We didn't have anything in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s. Revival usually skips a generation. You read the book of Judges. There'll be a generation go away, and then the next generation will come back. And then the next generation will go away, and the next generation will come back. Well, I want to say you're a part of a generation that's coming back. If you got a godly daddy, you ought to go home and hug him and thank God for him. Most folks don't have it. Come here, Jesse. Stand with me, boy. Satan called to preach broken home, messed up thing I wouldn't even want to describe to you. I'd let him tell you. But God saved his daddy last year. Isn't that right, Jesse? Where did you ever hear of a generation where the children pray for their daddy? Where the children have to pray in their mama and their daddy. That's our generation. This boy's mother's name Sunday. Because Billy Sunday stayed in their home when she was a wee little thing. And somebody gave me a Billy Sunday postcard of one of the old wooden tabernacles, signed and everything. And I felt led to give it to this boy. It got the namesake Billy Sunday. What do you think about a young man that had to pray his daddy out of hell? But thank God there's a revival over in the middle of South Carolina for about a decade when a bunch of young ones was getting saved. Come back up, little Dunn. So you got a boy that's got a heritage on a hill. But then you got another boy with a heritage from hell. And no matter if you got something on a hill or if you came from hell, this generation's got something unusual going on. God is granting you a divine visitation of His power, His presence. He's come to save. Two words. Underline that, harnessed, and underline that visitation. On that harness business, you're going to need each other. On that visitation business, you're going to need God. Thank you, Brother Cooper. Being a 35-year-old young evangelist in an hour when men with his gifts can go make a lot of money, have a large following. All you got to do is just put them old bones in the closet because everybody's ashamed of them. Brother Cody, thank you. Won't you two young evangelists, and I know 35 is not that young, but come stand with these boys. Brother Cody and Brother Cooper. Well, one of you other boys is hungry. They march 5 across. Who wants to get up there? I need a fifth man. Yeah, you want to know why you got in the middle? Because you got up out of your seat and you come up here and you got in the middle. Y'all want to know who's going to get in the middle of this thing? Whoever gets out of the seat and gets up and gets in the middle of this thing. The Lord is passing by. The Lord is passing by your generation. The Lord is passing by in an hour that you're alive. The Lord's passing by in your youth group. The Lord's passing by in your neighborhood. The Lord's passing by in your church. The Lord's passing by in your family. The Lord's passing by in your youth. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? You better lock arms, boys. Now look how that worked out, Brother Stroud. I didn't mean to. But the two evangelists, the two young evangelists, they're anchoring both ends. We need somebody that's been studying the Bible ever since they got saved. They ain't playing games. We need principled men who are also passionate men. But the principle doesn't feed off the passion fed off the principle. We need a fellow who was on ESPN, the World Rodeo Tour. Large bags of cash, cowboy hat, all your wicked country music and all your wicked dancing girls. That's what cowboy life is about. God cut you off with 1/10, 1/100th of a second of being the champion. And standing there with thousands upon thousands cheering your name. Holy Ghost had a little talk with you. I'm visiting a generation. You're going to go to hell with these bunch of party animals, or you want to join in the ranks with Moses and Joshua, Aaron and Caleb, Paul and Timothy, Elijah and Elisha. All in. All in. Here's a boy with godly parents. Got something happening on a hill. Happened to be my hill too. Here's some boy didn't have nothing happening, but a preacher went to a town and stared back and wouldn't quit. God started saving a bunch of messed up youngins from a bunch of messed up homes. Then you hang around a decade or so and pay the price of separation and sanctification. God may end up saving your daddy. And you can be in the middle of a movement that's leaving Egypt and going to Canaan and get right in the middle of it just because you was in the right place at the right time and somebody behind you pushed you. Who pushed him? 3 of them reached up. 3 hands reached up and pushed that boy. I want to thank God for some hands behind me. Your turn. You. They want you. You go. You get up there and get in it. We're talking about you. You can go. Yeah, you go. Go get it. Get up there. Get in the middle of it. It's your turn. Yeah, they're talking about you. It means you. Yeah, you. You can go. You can get up there. You. He'll surely visit you. And he's doing it. What are you going to do about it? Here in just a moment, somebody's going to play. And I don't mean they have to right now, because I don't manipulate altar calls. I don't need emotions. I don't need tugs. I don't need the perfect song. If the power of God ain't enough to get you to God, you didn't want to come. Now quit trying all these tricks. The trick gets them in, and the devil's got a trick to get them out. But in just a moment, somebody's going to play music. And when they do, I'm going to ask you, what are you going to do about the visitation that you're in the middle of? God has granted a divine visitation to a generation. Thank God for men like Brother Stroud and Brother Dorsey going across this country. You too, and I'm saying young, you're not preacher boys. I don't mean that, Brother Cooper. I don't mean that, Brother Cody. But I happen to know there was some well-known, some big preachers pressuring, you use us, we'll use you. And Brother Stroud called me some time back. And I'm going to say something. Y'all going to listen or not? You get big enough and get some momentum. People want to jump on the bandwagon, but they didn't want to get on it before it had a band. When it was just a wagon, nobody wants it. It looks like work. When there's a band playing on it, everybody likes to get on. And I happen to know he turned down some big names that would have opened big doors, and you for me and I for you, and here's this and there'll ever be that. And he told me, he said, no. He said, I got 2 young men. I don't mean nothing about it, but y'all can't do nothing for him. What about a man who ain't playing politics and playing games, but he's obeying God? Amen. You reckon that's why the Lord blowed in here? And these ministries get to be about politics and paychecks. You're in some bad territory then. That's when Jesus starts kicking over money changing tables. What are y'all going to do about this visitation? Some of you are going to go to hell. You chose yourself. You chose your sin. While the Lord was passing by, you didn't want him. Some of you are going to spend the next 30 years with a messed up life because they had a call for you. And I'm talking to you young ladies too. We know he don't call you to preach. He calls you to bigger stuff than that. He needs Hannahs. He needs Sarahs. He needs Rahabs. He needs Rachels. In a little while, he will have went by. And if he tarries his coming, we're going to spend the next 40 years living out of this visitation. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do? And you're supposed to be one of the 70 going to Albania. You're supposed to be one of the 100 needed in Uganda. You're supposed to be the one to be a catalyst for revival back at your church. It's the time of thy visitation. And Jesus wept in the Gospels because they knew not the day of their visitation. I want somebody to begin to play now. My altar call is going to go something like this. Some of you need to get alone. Well, they're already figuring it out. Some of you need to get alone because you need to do business. But some of you need to do what they're doing right there. Some of you need to get together. Some of you need to get together and get harnessed. You're not going to survive when you go back home if you don't get harnessed with somebody. It wouldn't hurt you to get in the harness and make a place to pray. Some of you need to get together and pledge to each other that you're not going to quit on God, not quit on each other. Get together. But some of you need to get alone because you've been resisting Him. He's passing by wanting to save you, passing by wanting to sanctify.